I've been looking at hunting sites south of Las Vegas in the Mac Cullough Mountains, which aren't really mountains, they're more like rolling plateaus south of Las Vegas. And one thing leads to another. I started off looking at lithic debris. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I go through an extensive discussion of how you can spot lithic debris from the air. And I had started getting interested in this part of town, noticing this smudge of lithic debris right in this picture. And if we switch over to Google Earth, we could fly up that valley and see what I have marked here as I, which is a place where there's a big patch of lithic debris and some stone walls on the slope that look like they could be hunter's blinds or uh, corrals or something related to hunting. I'm not sure. And what I want to say is that one thing leads to another. You start looking at something, you notice it, you start looking at it carefully, you see other examples of it, and then you start seeing other things near it over and over again. And one thing leads to another. So I want to start off talking about lithic debris in the valley and how that leads you to look up the hillsides to these bald spots, these white places. It's time to go to Google Earth now. These white places on the hillsides, the lithic debris down here leads you to take an interest in the white places that are on the hillsides. And you notice those and you start noticing that they're ringed with lithic debris, typical white spot. And these are not, to be clear, this is a little dip between higher places. And the game here is, or the game of the game, hunting the game, you get an animal into the chute somehow and scare it uphill. And it'll end up in one of the few places where you can be waiting for it. But so the bald places, which are on many of these hills, and you can study this on your own in Google Earth, have these surrounding rings of lithic debris. So your eye is taken to that as kind of a bullseye pattern. And I wanted to show you a bunch of bullseyes. But then from there, there's a site that's so dramatic in the way it does this. Here's this chute here. I looked at this yesterday. The chute where the animals are driven uphill through here, and they are met by hunters here. And one of the features of these types of sites, and we can look all over the hills here, look for different examples of this. One thing you would hope to see is that right in the middle, there's a specific stone structure, which I guess is maybe something for people to hide behind. I'm not sure. But another feature of these sites, and there's the ring of lithic debris around it. Another feature are these lines of white dots. I'm calling them post holes because I think this could be a place where a fence was constructed. There's no question at all that they're evenly spaced and in a line, go at a distinct angle there, obtuse angle, and they stop here right around when this is going on. And you can try to understand these places and see how all it would take would be for a young boy to shout down here to the guys up there, there's an animal in the chute. The animal will be scared and move more quickly uphill. By the time it gets up here, it's tired and it's in a panic, and it's easy to trick. It's easy to fool it to itself. So the idea here is that looking at this site specifically leads to paying attention to these white dots and the thought that they're man-made. And there's a number of places where you start seeing them if you look for them carefully. This was the first time I ever saw it, but once you see it, you start noticing it maybe in a few other places. So go back to this site. What I have is that F, G, and K, and we're going to go back to H again in a second. F, G, and K, let's see, those are on these hills just south of that notch. F, G, and K. So we're going to F, G and K maybe. Let's look at G and F. That down here, we're seeing more post holes. We see a site. See, it looks like kind of a ring of post holes going around here. Is it imagination? Is it geology? Is it real or is it not real? Here, for example, you see like a double line of post holes going, or a few different lines of them. And I want to say that pattern, if you can recognize it, has some features that you can describe, but it's also in these situations where you want to argue that this is man-made, this is not geology. If the pattern is localized, if it's part of something that's just there, and if you go to the next couple of hills over where you have the same geology, all the same conditions, but you don't have that pattern, then that's a stronger argument in favor of it being real. But real in the sense of, yeah, it's a man-made thing. So anyway, F, G, and what was it? K show these things. Well, where K is. K could be one of these places like this. Yeah, K. It's kind of interesting. You see these dots, and they seem to sort of be in a line. And anyway, we're going to go back to H or K. H. We'll go back to H. Getting to know you. Getting to know all about you. Again, this is a classic darned if you do, darned if you don't situation for the animals. They come up here, get pushed up into here or here or here. That's their choices. And this one in particular is a nasty trap. Boy, shouting down here would drive an animal up. Now, the post holes here really draw your attention. First of all, before I get into the details of this, over here in what was A and B and C, there's a sense of post holes, nothing so clear. And at the center, the focal points of these targets, these bullseyes, you see some soil disturbances. So it's possible that there were blinds or corrals or something at the centers of these spots, but I can't observe that yet. What I can see, though, is a very distinct sense of this being a line of post holes around the bullseye, part of the bullseye. And here, this is kind of interesting. The post holes seem to go off around the bullseye in one sense or go off in this direction in another sense. And you wonder, are these man-made or are they natural? I don't think they're natural. I think if you go 2 hills over, you get the same conditions without the post holes. But I will say that disturbances like those post holes are also, there's some of them where it doesn't look like it has anything to do with hunting or residential existence. In these hills down here, where's the best example? You get a sense of the post holes forming an array. Now, let's play the game that we believe our eyes, and this is telling us there's something here, something man-made, something that's arranged the way we would arrange an orchard. And I said, you want to make jokes about it looking more like a big sensor array. This could be for gardening of some site, but just for reference, how big across are these little white dots? I don't know, I want to say 10 or so feet, because you look down in the valley nearby, where are we? I don't know, never mind. I'm gonna have to, this part of the video will end up on the cutting room floor, I don't doubt. Now let's get reoriented. So what I wanted to say was that you just look here for these bullseyes. There's lots of them. They're all over the place. And there's a couple of interesting ones that I want to finish this little video with. They're located more down in here. I enjoyed noticing, for example, this little bit of red geology right here. And I'll tell you why. It stands out. And I've been curious. You see this kind of a reddish rock around Las Vegas, and you wonder, is that a nappable material or not? It's hard to tell. How would you know? But in this case, we had a bit of luck because right here is a bullseye, a small one. Sorry about the zooming in and out clumsily. Here's the fence post holes. Here's the bullseye target. And the good news is that the lithic debris there is reddish. And that makes me believe that, yes, in fact, the geology of this place is nappable. The rock is nappable. That's good news. So that's an interesting little target site. And that one's not too far from the edge. You could get there very easily from this. It's about a mile from the road, I think. Let's see, 1,000 meters, 3,000 meters from the road, 3 kilometers. That's nice. And then there's a final place I'd like to take a quick look at it before we shut down this video. I think I was looking down at an example of a target, a bullseye right there. Or was it perhaps right there? And having had some interest level in the post holes, I ended up looking at, I think it's this place right here. Is that right? Okay, here we are. Sorry for the delay. I think I was looking at this little bullseye here, and I was attention's drawn to this, and it turns out that this is, in fact, the highest place. This is the highest place in the whole southern Mac Cullough range. And unlike some of these mountains, it's really just a flat topped plateau, slightly higher than the other ones. And if you look at it, having taken an interest in these white spots and game trails and lithic debris, here's what I see. I see that this is all filled with lithic debris, that there's post holes are forming a kind of an oval, and that there is no really obvious game trails through here. And so I wonder, could this be something that's not a hunting site, but something a little bit different? Native Americans, for a long time, were, like everyone else, interested in what you could see from the highest places. And perhaps they looked to the sky, perhaps they looked into the distance. But in some ways, this is a very central part of the whole archaeological picture of the Mac Cullough Mountains. And, it's interesting to notice that Sloan Canyon petroglyph trail is this gray line that goes through here, like that. It ends up coming out right here. It's kind of gratifying to me to know that the first thing that caught my eye was this smudge of lithic debris right at the foot of the same valley, or near the beginning of the same valley that leads to the largest concentration of petroglyphs in this area, because those, I went and took a look at, what do you think those petroglyphs show? They show you pictures of bighorn sheep and hunting. So someone might ask, well, where was that hunting taking place? And the answer is probably everywhere, but you could see it on these rolling plateaus of the southern Mac Cullough range. A beautiful place. Have I said everything that I wanted to say? Yeah. Post holes and how pattern has to be differentiable and local. Let's stop sharing. Thank you for joining me today. You know what they say. Thank you.